Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hi, this is Ed, SavageTechman, and welcome to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. Joining me once again is Cheryl.
Woohoo!
And we are talking about Game of Thrones Season 6 and the wonderful finale.
Well, it's been a fantastic season, I think. There's always so much going on, but this one, for me, I have to say, this season's been all about girl power.
It has. It should be called Queen of Thrones.
Game of Queens.
Game of Queens would work.
We did have that period of time where we had all the kings, with Robb in the north and the two Baratheon brothers and Joffrey, and now we've got queens popping up everywhere. You got
everywhere.
Yara, you got Daenerys, you got really Sansa, who should be the Queen of Winterfell at this point, as well as, oh my God, Cersei. Who saw that coming? I mean, I was all on the Marjorie train. I was like, okay, Queen Marjorie, it's your turn now, and then boom, not her turn anymore.
Yeah, the Black Queen, as I call her, Cersei, and her best Michael Jackson get up there.
Yeah,
we're watching After the Thrones. We were talking about that, and just to see the ladies taking over and moving in.
I guess they killed off so many men that. There's only women and eunuchs left.
Exactly.
And Jon Snow, who
confess.
Jon Snow is like zombie Snow. I don't know. I guess he's reanimated at any.
When they broke out into the Thriller dance, that was awesome on the battlefield there. But leading up to the Winds of Winter, we finally heard after 6 seasons that winter is not coming, but what Daddy Stark promised, that winter is here. And I wish right now winter literally was here.
Well, here's
so hot.
Here's what I think about winter. Apparently, with the arrival of winter comes some sort of transportation revolution, because it took Arya 7,000 years to get from the north
Plus
over to Essos.
Yes.
But then when she decides to come back, she's like, boom, not only back in Westeros, but all the way back up where she can murder Walder Frey. And that is just...
The girl has a name. It's Arya Stark.
Well, and so she goes, boom, straight over there. Meanwhile, Varys gets from Essos over to...
Brooklyn.
Not Highgarden. What's the other one? And so does Lady Olenna. She goes from the capital out there to meet with the Sand Snakes, and just everybody's getting everywhere so quickly. And Yara, she's like, let's leave the Iron Islands and take our ships over to Daenerys. And she made one stop the episode before last, and then boom, here are my ships, my lady. I'm like,
snap.
I'm like, damn, I think that's a much better indicator that winter's here. If all of a sudden you can get everywhere super fast.
Well, they figured
than sending out a white raven.
They were trying to get there quick because they knew winter was coming. So. They got the lead out.
Let's get there before. Well, and of course this season, although Emilia Clarke had said some time ago that she wasn't going to do any more nude scenes, she did do one more this season. So
she burned that mother down.
Yeah, we got to see that she's still the unburnt.
She's the unburnt.
And that was awesome.
Leading the unsullied.
Because here shows up the two men who love her most, and they're like, we're here to rescue you. And she's like, get out of here. I don't need rescuing. You're going to mess this up.
She's like...
And she took out everybody. She's like, oh, yeah?
They should have played in the background, burn this mother out.
So, I mean, she just took control. Although I have to say, during the battle, when she just suddenly shows up at the pyramid,
she's like, hi, I'm here.
It was really
odd.
Yeah, I mean, there was no drama to it at all. They're like, oh, there's a noise out on the balcony.
And she just runs into the scene and looked like...
she just walks in and they're like, oh, hi, and they kneel down. I mean, there was... And in the background, you see the dragon flying away, but... Really? It was really sort of like, okay, the last time we saw you, you were burning the bitch down. And now, nothing. You just show up and be like, oh, hello.
Hello. Queenie's back. What did I miss?
And Tyrion's like, here's some wine.
Here's some wine.
I'll tell you one thing Tyrion and his sister Cersei have in common is their love of wine. It's been all about the two of them and their wine the last couple of episodes.
Me and my wine. I got my whiskey.
Meanwhile, you got Jamie up there with Walter Fry again complaining about his life a little bit over the wine.
So it's not Saturday night high and dry.
Yeah. It's
not at the Lannister household.
Wow. Jamie, I think, is a little conflicted. He doesn't really know what he wants to do, and I think when he gets back to King's Landing and discovers, well, I guess now it's Queen's Landing, I don't know, and discovers what Cersei's done, that's going to be, a big question in the next season is
Cersei had her 4th of July early. She was setting off fireworks.
She was like,
boom.
Boom, for sure.
I'm sorry, but there were parts of it that, even with the look of it, reminded me of Episode 3 and the bombing of the Jedi Temple and in Vader, the Rise of Vader. Of course, I see everything through Star Wars eyes.
Well, and of course, there have been a lot of memes out there with the puns with King Tommen and the King's Landing. Yeah. And then juxtaposing that with Bran and with the Moon Door with Lysa, and then also with Tommen. And then there have been the various videos of Cersei blowing the place up.
If Cersei had a Death Star.
Exactly. That's one of the good ones. Yeah, and then there's another one where it's, what's the Disney song, Let It Go?
Let It Go. They said it totally goes.
Yeah, they did a great job with that.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, that last episode, really there were probably 3 or 4 really intense, but, for all of these queens everywhere, really the lady who stole the season was little Lady Mormont.
Oh yes, loved her.
Played by, I think, Bella Armstrong is her name, and one of the great things I loved, she shames all the great lords of the North there in that last scene at Winterfell, herself. And I'm like, man, how did they cast this kid? She's fantastic. And so I've been reading a little bit, interviews and things with her, and one of the things I loved was she said when she was cast that, her family let her watch some of the age-appropriate scenes.
I'm like, really?
And I'm like, what's that? The opening credits?
Yeah, and the closing credits.
But exactly her age-appropriate scenes for, I think she was like 12. And I know that the actor who plays Sansa said basically she put them all to shame in that first scene where she appears because she was so totally prepared. And meanwhile, the veteran actors, she's like, we grown-ups, we showed up and we didn't know our lines like
so
she knew
you're
the
saying
lines.
That I should ring a bell. Ding, ding. Shame. Confess.
I'm really tired of you walking around saying confess to everybody. I think you're going to get locked up pretty soon.
Shame, confess.
And not all the world knows what you're talking about.
I can't repeat what Cersei told the lady there, but she was like, I did it because I enjoyed it. I drink wine because I enjoyed it. I was like, oh snap.
Well, so it's going to be interesting. I think some of the big questions in the next season. Of course, we find out in this last episode that Jon Snow really is the son of Lyanna Stark, not of Ned Stark, which has been, since the books were released, what the fans mostly thought, that Lyanna was the mother. And then, of course, the idea was that Rhaegar Targaryen, who had allegedly kidnapped her, there are theories that maybe they ran off together and eloped, that she really wanted to get away from Robert Baratheon. But, it wasn't clear still from this episode whether Rhaegar really was the father. But then HBO apparently released a graph that showed the relationships between all of the characters, and it says that Rhaegar is the daddy. So
and they did a thing on After Thrones talking about the Maury Povich.
And Ned Stark is not the father. And it was like, well, Catelyn, you didn't have to be so nasty to the boy all that time.
I know.
And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because now there's a close familial relationship then between Daenerys and Jon Snow, because now basically she is Jon's aunt. And so
which gets confusing.
Are these two going to get together as allies, or are they going to be battling against each other?
Are they going to marry each other?
He's the king of the north, and she's claiming all of the 7 kingdoms, and we know she likes to just roll into town and take it all.
Let's have a moment of silence for Queen Daenerys Targaryen, Stormborn, the Mother of Dragons, the Breaker of Chains, and her love life. She had to leave her man back home.
Well, basically, the way I see it, she leaves the second sons behind as like the National Guard.
Right.
And then she takes on the Dothraki, they're her army, her cavalry.
Right.
And she's got the ships of the slavers as well as Yara's ships, so that's her navy. And then flying overhead is her air force with the 3 dragons. So she's really... Oh, and the Unsullied are her Marines.
Exactly.
So she's got a full force.
Plus, she's got a new hand.
Yes, with Tyrion as the hand again.
The hand of the queen.
Well, and then, of course, Cersei has named her Maester as her hand. So, that's going to be interesting. So we have Daenerys coming back, presumably going straight to King's Landing, where she's going to discover Cersei's there, which she doesn't know at this point. And Cersei, of course, has absolutely no claim to the throne, except for she killed off everybody else who was in the city at the time.
Yep.
Just like, I'm the queen.
I don't know what kind of, army she's going to be able to raise, Cersei. Just maybe out of fear, she's just going to have to be a brutal dictator.
Because she's going to have a heck of a lot of money to buy that many sellswords.
Yeah.
Well, technically, she didn't kill off her son Tommen. He killed himself. But you know what? If she had been she sends the Mountain to keep him from going to the Sept. But then
the Mountain leaves once
it blows up, and so he's there unguarded at that point. And instead of her going to say, hey, son, I kept you here to keep you safe, here's my plan, she goes down to torture the Septa, who had been her jailer.
Confess.
And then, Tommen takes the fall out the window.
Shame.
Shame. I'm going to hit you, I really am. And I'm going to make you confess. I'm going to pour wine all over your face. I mean, that must have been...
That would be awesome.
For Cersei, that must have been the worst wine in the city, because there's no way she's going to waste a drop of wine.
The Lannisters do their best when they're drinking.
I guess. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Daenerys gets there, as well as, what's going over here with Varys and the Sand Snakes and Olenna. Because Varys is in the Daenerys camp. Right. So presumably he's going to bring Olenna and the Sand Snakes over to Daenerys as well. That's the idea. Mm-hmm. And then, so really you kind of have, you have many factions, but the 3 major factions, I guess, are Daenerys with those guys, as well as what's going on in the north, which right now doesn't seem to have anything to do with what's going on in the south, except with Peter Baelish. Because Peter Baelish, for some reason, thinks he should be king. And again, he has absolutely no claim to it. So you
never want to trust a Littlefinger either.
No, which Sansa says. But who knows what's going to happen with Sansa? I keep waiting. Sansa has definitely emerged. She's finally not naive anymore. She sees the world as it is, but she still doesn't quite see the power that she has.
Right. And she could have had that had she let Littlefinger marry her and he take the throne.
Well, no. Just even the fact that actually it's Littlefinger who comes on the invitation of Sansa, who actually defeats Ramsay Bolton. And wow, that scene where she gets her revenge on Ramsay Bolton.
Yep.
Unbelievable. He's like, my beasts are loyal. She's like, they were, but now they're starving.
Yeah.
And she walks away with that little grin on her face. It's like, wow.
She's turned a corner.
Well, if we think about the women of the Stark family at this point, you've got Sansa and you've got Arya. And Arya, in my opinion, is a flat-out psychopath at this point.
She's flipped her lid and she's about to cut some other lids off, too. She's like, I got a list.
And I'm not...
She's like, you failed this city.
Yeah. Luckily, some other people are taking care of some of the people on her list, so she's not got as much work to do as she thinks she does.
She's like, because y'all... kisses on my list.
I don't think that's what's on her list.
No. She's revenge.
Well, and because
wrongest not revenge.
I don't really understand how the faceless things work so much. So now that she's killed Walder Sr., can she just take his face and then she can go down to King's Landing and be like, "Yo, Jaime, here I am," and they kill Jaime and Cersei? So Arya's still a wild card. And when is Arya going to learn about what's happened at Winterfell?
I think Jaime Lannister, we saw that when he saw his sister, who I affectionately call the Black Queen because she's wearing all black, Cersei on the throne. She looks at him, and it's not like love or whatever.
She's just like, yo.
She's like, yo, I got this.
Yeah.
And he almost being a Kingslayer, now is he going to have to become a Queenslayer and kill love his life? Because in the previous episode, he said he burned the world down to get back to Cersei.
But now Cersei's burning the world down without him.
Yeah, she's like, dude, I already started without you.
Well, and if you think about back to Robert's rebellion against the Mad King Aerys Targaryen, Jaime says the reason that he had to kill Aerys was because he was going to burn the place down with wildfire. Right. And that's basically what Cersei did. So now there's this real conflict about where's Jaime? Where's Jaime's next move? His kids are gone.
Yep.
His dad's gone. His uncle's gone because Cersei blew him up too. Cousins are gone. All there's left is Cersei and Tyrion. There's just the three of them.
And then you got the people down south there that made the with the dower. I call it a
dowager.
Dowager.
Well, she is technically a dowager with Lady Olenna.
She's like, who are you? Shut up. You shut up. Let the grown women talk.
Say? No. Yeah, she's brilliant, of course.
She's awesome.
Yeah. But, and then you've got Bran. And so what's going to happen? And then you've got Samwell, who's down here. So he's
hanging out at the library.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, whoa, I've never seen so many books in my life.
Forget the wife and kid. I'm going to read some books.
Exactly. I'm hoping.
Go to the library.
I'm hoping, that they've got some sort of really good index card file because I'm sure it's going to take him a while to get to the How to Kill White Walkers section of the library. It's like, excuse me, can you point me in the direction?
Our King of the North, Jon Snow.
Where does this fall in the Dewey Decimal System?
He's still got the Night King that's coming.
Yeah, that's
arrived and
exactly, and that's why he's got the free folk with him. And then Bran is still north of the Wall at this point. I don't know how Miss Chicky, I can't think of her name right now, is going to haul him through the wall because they've got a little ways to go yet.
And that wall's protected by magic.
Well, but he can still get through it.
Yeah.
And so, but what's he going to do now? Because he's now having this vision of the past, and there's this whole question about, is he seeing the past? Is he seeing the future sometimes? And that whole connection between Hodor and the past and Hodor and the present.
Hold the door.
Of course, the next day there were already door stops out that said Hodor on them.
Hodor.
Yeah. So,
that was so sad when Hodor died.
That was terrible. Well, and then, 2 more wolves bit the dust. 2 more dire wolves bit the dust this season.
Another wolf bit the dust.
Because we lost Bran's dire wolf as well as Rickon's. And, of course, we lost Rickon because Jon Snow...
And Reek lost something.
Well, Reek lost something a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then we got rid of Joffrey's, the evilness that replaced Joffrey's evil, which was Ramsay Bolton, who was far more evil than Joffrey really was. Right. So who's going to be the new super evil? I guess Cersei? Because she's clearly going. Or again, I come back to Arya the psychopath.
Maleficent. A little bit.
Everything reminds you of Maleficent.
I don't know.
You just want to think about Angelina Jolie.
Well, hello.
So next season is going to be a lot. There's so much out there, and I have to say that there were a couple episodes that were a little bit slow, but only a couple. I mean, most of these, and the episode where they did the battles, they had two important battles in one episode with the defeat of the slavers. We're like, yo, have you met my dragons?
Yeah. You will concede. No, I won't.
Yeah, and then of course the battle for Winterfell was incredible with the huge pile of carnage. Yeah. But then when Littlefinger brings in the Knights of the Vale, and the cavalry just runs over all of the guys from Ramsay's
plow
army.
the road.
Exactly. It was like boom.
Boom.
That was awesome. I mean, that was intense. I remember reading where the guy who plays Jon Snow, and I can't think of his name right now either, but he said basically he was digging mud out for days doing that, and I can't imagine how crazy it was to film that. I was
that was very
the intensity of the
Braveheart-ish. And it was great to see on the small screen that.
Yeah.
It felt like a movie, and then the Winds of Winter, the season finale of season 6,
which of course was extended.
Yes, it was every bit, we were on the edge of our seats. We're like, wow, this is great.
Now, you know awesome. What? And like after every scene, you're like, okay,
but
that's
I can
the
literally
end.
see.
But then it went on.
I can literally see each army, and most of them are queens on the chessboard.
Yeah.
And you got a king with the queen by the side, being Sansa and Jon.
Yeah.
But I could see them all positioning the pieces, and we're getting closer and closer to them all coming to one. Massive,
what's going to
crazy
happen
battle?
Then? It's
which I gotta say that I think
again.
Dragons trump everything unless they kill her dragons.
How do dragons do against wildfire? I don't know.
And how do they do against the?
Well, and the thing with now learning that Jon Snow is Targaryen,
White Walkers.
One of the theories is that the reason there's hot water all the time at Winterfell is because there are dragon eggs underneath there. So is he going to be able to birth his own dragons?
Is he going to be the father of dragons or the step bastard of the dragons?
The uncle, cousin, sister, brother of dragons? I don't know.
We're all related. It's one big happy family.
Yeah, really
Let's not
happy.
fight.
Before Arya comes in and kills everybody. Oh, and of course the other big return character this time with the Hound. With Gregor Clegane coming back.
Yes.
That episode was really intense too. Those 2 episodes where he came through. So, I was excited to see him.
So that pretty much wraps it up, I think. What a great season, and we're looking forward to season 7, and I don't know if it's going to be the last one or if we're going to have a abbreviated season. It's still up in the air, but we've enjoyed our Game of Thrones so far, so freedom by fire.
Okay.
Brett, where are my dragons, by the way? I was looking for them. I left them here somewhere.
Confess.
You are not worthy.
Geek Homeworld Review Preview.
And now we're going to give you our review of Independence Day Resurgence.
It stinks.
Don't go see it.
Save your money.
It was terrible.
The end.
That should be it.
No, I think there are some things we can say. I think we should say spoiler alert, but really, we can't spoil it for you because it was rotten when it came out. No, technically, it can't be spoiled.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes didn't like it.
Nobody liked it. There are a few people who gave it high marks and say they're looking forward to
But that was Roland Emmerich.
They gave it high marks and said they're looking forward to the third one, which is very clearly teased at the end of the movie. It's like, now let's go make the third one.
Right. We waited. They had 20 years to find a good script, and they didn't.
Well, and there were several times when I was just like, why am I still sitting here watching this?
And we saw the double feature.
Yeah, so it didn't help that we had literally just seen the original terrific, fantastic movie.
Still holds
and then,
up. Kick the tires and light the fire.
Credits end, and we're into the new piece of garbage.
But
that they just did.
Visually, did it look good? Yeah, awesome.
I don't even know about that. There were places even where the lighting was bad. And then I think that, people were speculating that Will Smith didn't take this film because either they wouldn't pay him enough or because he just wanted to do Suicide Squad. Or then the other rumor that he wouldn't do it because he wanted his son Jaden to be in it and they wouldn't take Jaden. And here's the thing, I don't care what level of actor Jaden is. There's no way he could have made that film any worse than this film was.
Yeah,
I don't care if you think
or
Jaden...
he couldn't have saved it either.
If you think Jaden is worse than Wesley Crusher, he still could not have ruined this movie.
I would have taken Wesley... Shut up, Wesley.
It was,
over that.
But I have to say, the guys who come back...
Bill Pullman,
Judd Hirsch, Brent Spiner, of course, and Jeff Goldblum.
They did fantastic jobs.
With what they had.
Exactly.
Because Judd Hirsch's character and his whole storyline is completely... You could totally take that out of the film. It would have no impact on it all.
Right.
Just the whole narrative of the thing was
it really felt
jumpy.
Like somebody sat down and they looked at every possible science fiction movie that's been done and said, hey, let's pick something from Aliens, let's pick something from Close Encounters, there's like everything.
And then it's like,
throw it all together.
Let's make the enemy now ridiculously large.
Yeah, the ship, come on now.
The ship is bigger than the Atlantic frickin' ocean.
That's
and they're going to drill a hole to the center of the earth and withdraw our core, and I'm like,
sounds familiar.
What?
I've seen elements of this in so many sci-fi movies like Pacific Rim,
Well, and there have been a lot of complaints too about there are a couple of prominent Chinese characters in the film, and so some people are saying, "Oh, that's pandering to the Chinese audience,"
which is what the last Transformers did, and
well,
that's why
I mean, and that's
so
what
well.
they're going to get. I mean, they're going to get a lot of box office.
Honestly,
in China,
that's where we're heading.
But neither of those characters really ended up being important. I mean, they just and I enjoyed.
I could still
what's
watch.
Thor's little brother's name? Liam Hemsworth. I enjoyed
Hemsworth.
his performance, but it was just stupid.
And this new bunch of characters I was supposed to care about, and especially Will Smith's son in this.
Whoever is playing,
he couldn't lead anything if he tried.
Yeah, I'm like, he's supposed to be the leader of this elite group of pilots who can fly in space and below. And he
didn't even have a love interest. I mean, there was nothing worth fighting for. He tried to save his mother.
Not really. He just sort of watched his mother die.
Right.
Which even that moment wasn't dramatic. It was just like, was she falling down the building?
Yeah.
Was somebody going to save her? Well, I guess not.
Yep. Oh, there she goes.
I mean, it was just like far long distance. They didn't tight shot on her or anything. That guy could not have led a pickup football game on his high school, his junior high. Forget that.
I just really didn't connect emotionally with any of the characters in this movie. And I know the bridge to the old to the new, and this is like kind of like a next generation, but it just didn't click.
No. I mean, and Brent's. Oh, and then we got to add an African warlord in there too,
which is basic. That's basically
who teaches a coward, and at the end says, "Oh no, you're a mighty warrior too." I
saw parts of Predator in that.
I mean, there's parts of everything.
He was the Black Panther essentially. We saw him in Civil War. I mean,
Black Panther was much better. It was just It was just so like. Here's the thing, as a writer. I know how things work, and it's like they brought everybody together, and they said, okay, what ideas do you have? And then they said, okay, good, let's do all of them.
They threw everything at the wall.
Like nothing ever got cut. Like, oh, that's a good idea, let's do that too.
And the sad thing is, I've been hyped up for this because, I love the original. And for me, actually seeing the double feature and seeing Independence Day.
We were super excited
We were super excited. During the movie, this is how good Independence Day, the original one, was, 84, because I was thinking of that movie while I was watching the new one, and it felt like two totally different experiences.
Well, one of the things I love about the original is how it opens with the SETI scientists, and they're listening to The End of the World as We Know It by R.E.M. when they hear the signal. And now with this movie, it's like, this is the end of the world as we know it, and I don't really care.
Yeah,
just let it go.
And this all happened during the time of Brexit. And they had to blow up London. I'm like, wow, okay, coincidence.
Well, it's just, and Bill Pullman's character is, like, there's this whole thing with the psycho writing and all that you've seen in other places. And Bill Pullman, they used the same sort of dramatic music for his big speech from, this is the world's independence. And he was
speaking to one person,
Yeah, he's talking to one person, but everybody else in the hangar just sort of turns around and listens to him, and they're playing the dramatic music. I'm like, this is stupid.
And it was funny. I was watching John Oliver, and he was talking about the Brexit thing, and he showed both of the leaders of that, and they were giving their Independence Day speech. So I think it's a coincidence that Resurgence came out or whatever.
No, it's just. I'm sorry. It's just
all a mess.
Awful. And I think the real reason Will Smith didn't take this film is because he saw the friggin' script.
He read it, and he was like,
no. Thank you.
And he's had a few bombs like After Earth
he's like,
and
you know what,
stuff
I'm
like
not going to do any more bombs. I have too much money now. I'm not going to do any more bombs.
He did Concussion, which was awesome.
I the performance I enjoyed the most, which isn't going to surprise anybody probably, is Brent Spiner. Because they gave him some great lines, and that character is just so kooky.
And the extra little alien Pokemon ball that shows up.
Oh, that was what?
And so really, you could have helped us the whole time.
Yeah. Well, and we just blew you up because you wouldn't talk to us. Because even though we're paranoid about aliens, you show up and you don't say, "Hey, I'm a friend." Well, your ass deserves. Sorry, you deserve to be blown out of the sky.
And really, it was a Borg sphere.
Because the Queen came in the other
which
ship,
was aliens,
and of course is gigantic.
Enormous.
You know?
And in Data, or Brent Spiner,
Brent Spiner.
I could call him Data. He said, when his friend gets hurt, he goes, "Let me take you to sick bay." I mean, I love some of those jabs like that, but
No, and then
they literally
it's just
took from everything.
Wow, just wow. So sorry if we spoiled it for you, but actually, the people who created the film spoiled it for all of us.
Everybody's out there watching Dory.
And I was
searching for
I was
Dory.
afraid. The minute I heard they were doing this film, I was like, this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
And I was hoping. I was wrong.
I went through the different stages of
Grief?
oh no, why? Yeah, grief and everything else, and then I was like excited for it. I was like, no, this looks really good. I mean, this is going to be good. But the fact that all they showed was the big ship and said, "Oh, that's a big ship. It's bigger than last time," and I'm like, yeah, but
and let's not forget running through the jungle on the ship. What?
yeah, and there's like a.
It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I don't know.
I don't know what was happening there.
Yeah, I have to say.
It's a total mess.
Well, didn't you say like the box office for this film in the first week was just slightly over half what the box office what the original film was 20 years ago, not adjusted for inflation?
Yeah, so it's not going to... But the only thing that could possibly help this film make a profit is
the overseas,
China.
the overseas.
But
international box office will bring them in enough money to pay for the film, I guess. But I hope that they don't make the third film.
And if they do, let's bring in some
different
interstellar war. So now it's Star Wars. What is it?
It's
Star
the
Trek?
Galaxy's Independence Day.
Is it Independence Day Beyond? I don't know.
Really, it is Independence Day.
At least I don't die alone.
Oh, it's Independence Day Voyager.
Oh, I was saying the Enterprise music.
Independence Day Deep Space Nine. They're going to be battling Klingons. Oh no, we're beyond Klingons now.
And all that. I don't know what we're into now.
Sad, y'all. Just
final
sad.
word: Independence Day Resurgence. Maybe you should. It almost made me regurgitate.
No. I mean, I was speechless at the theater. I was like, I can't believe I just saw that.
Why did I have expectations? Maybe if I.
It's not even as interesting as watching, driving past rubbernecking on a little car crash. It's not even that interesting.
Yeah,
it's just bad.
Keep moving, people.
If
Nothing
you
to
feel
see
the
here.
need, if you go to see it and you feel the need to walk out, just do it because nothing's going to happen to make it better.
You do that now and thank us later.
Sorry. Really sorry.
Me too. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes, see us on YouTube, be part of our Mixler chats. Thank you. See you again on the Geek Homeworld podcast.
Geek Homeworld.